¿Dónde están los $5 millones que me robaste?
Gloria tendrá que encontrar el dinero. Su vida y la de su hijo dependen de ello.
Hay que acorralar a la viuda.
¡Tengo mucho miedo, mamá!
El peor de los caminos será el único posible.
A mí no me importa ir a la cárcel con tal de salvar a mi hijo.
En la nueva superserie de Telemundo,
Esta mujer es clave. Que empiece la cacería.
La Jefa. Martes 18 de febrero a las 10:09 Centro por Telemundo.
Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss Show. And in today's episode, we're gonna be doing another relationship advice episode. Yeah, I had some other advice subreddits open, but I'm like, nah, man, relationship advice be having the stories, bruh. The other ones don't seem all that interesting. You know, it seems like genuine people asking for advice. Relationship advice, though, on the other hand, it's like, it's people, I feel, that are trying to capture people's reactions by, like, just telling some of the most weirdest stories. Like, they were like, oh, my wife cheated on me with a hamster. And it's like, bro, how is that even possible? Like, what did you? So, yeah, it's stuff like that where I'm like, yeah, I feel like I'm going to be finding the best stories in relationship advice. That's subreddit. So, yeah, man, let's go ahead, get straight on into it and things with this first one. My husband of 10 years is amazing on paper, but I'm coming to terms with the fact I was taken advantage of. Dang, let's see what this is all about. So, she goes on to say, we have 2 kids together, a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old. We've been together for 10 years, but we have been married for 7. I'm originally from a small town and ran away from home at the age of 15. I grew up in a really bad environment. My parents were drug addicts, that were in and out of jail, and I basically left to fend for myself since birth. I got to a bigger city, spent 1 year in and out of people's homes, and then I met my husband shortly before I turned 16. Dang, man. Yeah, that's something where I'm like, you know, if the husband is taking advantage of you, you need to, it's one of those things where it's like, I feel that he needs to hear your life story just so he can have some more respect for you. Cause I feel like stuff like that, yeah, it needs to be told. I'm like, no, I ain't gonna sit here and have this crazy life and then have it where I'm being taken advantage of in my marriage. Like the one thing that I thought was gonna help me out. And then it's like, you trying to mess that. Nah, bro. So yeah, I definitely would talk with him and things, but anyways, so she goes on to say, when I met him, we barely talked for the first few months, but his girlfriend at the time offered me to be their roommate. Then eventually, dang, that's some crazy stuff, marrying the guy where it's like you wasn't really cool with them, but his girlfriend offered you a place to stay. That's wild. But I imagine that they broke up, and then that's when, you know, y'all started, you know, fooling around and all that stuff. But anyways, and then she goes on to say, they eventually broke up, like I said, but didn't make me move out. Oh, okay, that's good. At least, and so then she goes on to say, and let me stay there for free when he realized I was dirt poor. I had a effed up view of people being nice to me, and because he was so nice and he was a man, my teenage brain thought that it meant he wanted some explicit activity and stuff. You know, usually it's usually an activity that, you know, got them to the point where they got, you know, a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old. But anyways, so then she go on to say, so yes, it was me that came onto him, and I use this to excuse him engaging with me because I made the first move, but I was 16, he was 24. Yeah, nah, that's a fat no. Yeah, I didn't realize that see, that's what I'm saying, man. This like relationship advice be having some old crazy stories. Yeah, that's a fat no. It's like, that ain't gonna work out in my mind. It's like that, yeah, he definitely took advantage of you. You know, it's something where I don't know, maybe if he would have waited a couple of years, then I don't know, it might have been a different story, but still, yeah, I guess I didn't even do the math when looking at it and stuff. It's like, now it's just hitting me and I'm like, okay, yeah, it's like, I should have seen this, a while ago. There's like, yeah, it's like my husband of 10 years and it's like, she's 26, he's 35. And I'm like, fam, no, that's something where it's like, I guess like you wouldn't overall be the one to question him on that. But yeah, it's like people would question him on that, and I'm pretty sure he's like, oh yeah, we met some time ago and things. And it's like, okay, well, I'm saying if she's like, and that's what it's like, you know, did he have that conversation when you were like 18? It's like, what do you mean like some time ago? Because it's like, if she's 18, it's like, okay, she's only been 18 for this past year. So it's like, what you mean you met her some time ago? So I'm like, yeah, that just, to me, I don't know. I don't know about that one. That's about, yeah, it's something where I know people are probably like, oh, well, like, look at the lifestyle she came up from. I'm like, yeah, it's one thing when, you know, I guess like if you're helping out a person, but I feel like, yeah, once when, you know, that's something that he should have stopped right then and there. It's like, ma'am, do you not realize how old you are and how old I am? That ain't gonna work out. You know, it's like that. Yeah, that's I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, I technically, and yeah, it's like, you gotta look at it like that, where it's all like, bro was a whole guardian. And yeah, it's like, I look at it as that he took advantage of her. I'm like, it's just something that I know I wouldn't have done. So anyways, then she goes on to say, I ended up getting pregnant quickly with my daughter, and then we had our son a few years late after. As our kids grow older, I'm trying to shield them from so many of my wrongs and do that effectively. I started going to therapy in secret. It was only this year that I realized my husband took advantage of me and that he was the adult. He's an amazing father. He's a great husband, provider. But I've had 2 breakdowns in the past 3 months because I'm so angry at him at the same time. I love my kids, but I shouldn't have been thrown in the situation at such a young age. I don't know what to do. Please, advice on where to go from here. Yeah, that's I mean, yeah, that's something where it's like, you know, like, cuz he apologizes, but it's like, you did make the first move. And yeah, it's something where I'm like, I don't know how to go about a situation like that. You know, I feel like, yeah, that's just overall some dark stuff. It's like, he should have known though. That's something, but it's at the same time he did. It's like, I'm pretty sure you told him that you were 16 and stuff. So it's like, he should have known, and he should have handled that situation years ago. It's like, yeah, I guess if like down the road, if you guys have something going on when you're of age, that's a completely different story. But at the time being, I'm like, yeah, bruh, that to me, I'm like, that's kind of weird. You know, that's some weird stuff. I'm like, you got to look at that as something weird. So yeah, probably as the kids get older, they'll realize it and be all like, yeah, I don't know about that one. I'm like, that's kind of weird, bruh. You know, you should have thought that one through. But yeah, it's definitely where, you know, I mean, communicate with them, talk to him about it. I feel like a lot of people, you know, and it's just something where I'm like, you know, it's no problem going to the relationship advice subreddit, but at the same time, I'm like, you know, before coming here, you definitely gotta have a conversation with him and stuff. So it's like, you know, I guess see his outlook on it. If he don't see nothing wrong with it, then yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, bruh, then he's the problem. But if he sees something wrong with it, then, you know, I'm pretty sure it's like, I don't know if y'all is religious people, but yeah, you know, let that be a situation where it's like, you know, you're gonna have to take that up with God. And I'm like, that, because it shouldn't be in your place to be angry. And I get why you're angry, but at the same time, it's like, it's something that shouldn't cause that stress to where it's like, you know, it just seems like that you're giving yourself a reason to just kind of, not so much as like hurt yourself, but I look at it as like, you know, stressing yourself out. That is a way of hurting yourself, you know, because don't nobody like being stressed out in things, you know. So but yeah, it's just one of those things where, unless it's like some like, I don't think there ain't no such thing as no positive stress. Like, I mean, like in a funny situation you stressed out, then yeah, you know. But on some serious stuff, yeah, you know, you shouldn't be doing this, beating yourself up and getting mad. And you know, it's like, yeah, that's something where it's like he should be living with that, you know. So yeah, I mean, like, I think that's honestly the best thing to, you know, to do in a situation like that. But yeah, man, that's pretty crazy. But anyways, next one. My husband secretly recorded us and sent it to my ex. That is weird. Nah, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that at all. I'm like, look, whatever issues you got with your ex, you need to handle that before you get into a relationship with me. Don't be out here. And yeah, it's things like that where I'm all like, okay, then it's, if you, they married and stuff, but I'm like, yeah, it's something where it's like, you gotta look at that and be all like, okay, that's not normal behavior, you know, carrying on in that way where it's like, you know, you are with me, but it's like you trying to get back at your ex. It's like, nah, bruh. That's just one of those things where it's like you shouldn't allow your ex to have that much of a control on your mind to where it's like we out doing our thing and then you recording us, and then yeah, I'm like, that's something where I'm like, okay, do I need to step aside so you can handle this situation with your ex? Because I ain't trying to be in the middle of no love triangle and stuff. I'm not with that. So yeah, that's something where I'm like, I guess anybody that's thinking along the lines like, oh yeah, that's okay. No, it's not okay. I'm like, that ain't okay. That ain't okay to send it to your ex, their ex, nobody's ex. I'm like, no, it's one of those things where it's like when you're in a relationship, it's a two-party relationship. Unless you guys is in them open relationships and stuff. If not that, and it's a two-party relationship, the only ones that should be receiving videos is your current significant other. Nobody else. So yeah, that's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I'm not with that. That's something where I'm like, the husband, he gonna have to get checked on that, because I'm like, I'm not trying to have it, because it's like, okay, let's say that ex, they're all like, oh, well, I know how to get back at them, and then they post that stuff online. And that's something that people don't understand. It's like you post something online, that stuff stays on the internet forever, especially if you post it on a very popular website. Yeah, people see that stuff. And then next thing you know, it's like you got people downloading it. And then it's like, yeah, it's just one of those things that's just shared throughout the internet. I guess that is something that the individual would have to live with. They shared the video. But yeah, it's something where I'm all like, yeah, the husband, he could very well prevented that. There ain't no reason to be out there sending no stuff like that. That's crazy. So anyways, next one, so there's all like, this one seems kind of strange, but there's like, I paid for my wife's education. She never worked. Now I'm sick, trapped, and feel like giving up. 41 male and 27. Dang, all right. So, wait a minute. So, I think there's like, that's when they had met, when there was dang, this is a long one. I'm like, yeah, that's, I ain't gonna sit down and read all that. I'm like, that's too much reading. I'm like, it's like, it's a page, bro. But anyways, next one, but I mean, I guess for that one, get her to start working. If not that, then I'm like, divorce her. If she's all like, I just want to sit at home and not do nothing, then I'm like, okay, well, that can't work with me. So it's like, you're gonna have to do something. I'm like, but you just sitting around not doing nothing. I'm like, yeah, that's that type of stuff where I'm gonna look at myself and be all like, okay, I'm doing all this work, you ain't doing nothing. Nah, fam, you gonna have to do something, otherwise I'm like, yeah, you catching a clean divorce. Okay, so next one though, guy. So wait a minute, no, the girls are like, husband says he hates our life. Dang, I'm like, what's wrong with it? Okay, yeah, let's read this. So there's like, husband and I have 3 kids, 14, 10, and 9 months old, have been married 12 years. He says he didn't envision his life like this and is unhappy. Says I don't stop asking for things and wants to be left alone. Dang. That's some crazy stuff. I mean, yeah, that's something where it's like, you should have known in the beginning that and that's stuff that I think of, like, where if I'm talking to somebody, I'm like, okay, do I see this being a short-term relationship or a long-term relationship? Because I want a long-term relationship. I've never been a short-term relationship person. Anytime when I'm, interested in a woman or a woman's interested in me, that's stuff that I think about. I'm like, okay, is this going to work out long-term? If not, then it's one of those things where, I guess if it's brought up, then I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Now I don't know disrespectful stuff, but it's like, I just don't see this being long term. And I would really hate for it to be down the road. And then all of a sudden I'm all like, oh, no, I don't want to be with you no more. That's messed up. I don't see myself doing that to somebody. So that's why I'm like, I think it's best to talk about that stuff right then and there. It's like, honesty, it gets you a long way. So that's why I'm like, I would rather have it where that stuff gets nipped now, where we getting to know each other, versus, okay, sometime down the road, it's like, we married, kids, all that stuff. And I'm all like, I don't want to be with you no more. That's disrespectful. I'm like, I couldn't do no stuff like that. But anyways, so she goes on to say, backstory, we've been married 12 years, had kids really young, worked hard to get through the military school and great jobs. I lost my job immediately after maternity leave. We had also just moved into a new house. So 3 extremely stressful life events. When I lost my job, he didn't speak to me for at least a week, all while we have a 3-month-old baby. Why? how do you get mad about some stuff like that? It's like, it's not your fault. I mean, yeah, you had a kid, but it's like, fam, you also participated in this event of having a child. Like, it ain't like people just out here having child they just randomly just get pregnant. I'm like, this ain't no Sims video game. I'm like, even in there, they gotta get busy in order to have a child and stuff. I'm like, what kind of foolery is that? Yeah, that's something where I'm like, I know people probably ask like, oh, well, what would you do in a situation like that? I'm like, okay, not get mad at my wife for something that she ain't had no control over. It wasn't like she walked in there and said, I quit. Like, no, she lost her job. That means that she got fired. That means that it wasn't her decision to leave. Like, she went back and they said, nah, you can spin back around and continue walking outside. Like, you ain't gonna walk in here. You don't work for this no more. Yeah, if anything, I'm like, yeah, bro. I'm like, nah, that's messed up. You know, it's like, I'm like, okay, nah, let me get your favorite. Like, nah, let's get a bucket of, well, you could get your own bucket of ice cream because I don't really like sharing that much. I'm like, I gotta get my own ice cream. But I'm like, yeah, let's get some ice cream, sit down, watch some movies and stuff, just kind of take our mind off of things rather than, oh, let me get mad at her over something that she ain't had no control over. Yeah, that's crazy. That's some wild stuff. It's like, man, come on now. Act your age, please. Thank you. But anyways, then she goes on to say, I am taking time off work to study for the LSAT, applying this fall because I'm not working. I do quite literally everything with the kids except take our older girls to practice twice a week. He handles that. He is saying that he gave me everything I wanted by agreeing for us to move into our current house and have a baby. Be mindful that I work in a executive level position for the last 9 years and contributed significantly to our finances. So I don't see where he's coming from when he says he gave me these things. I see it as we worked together and made decisions together. Long story short, his opinion is that since he gave, and she put it in quotations, me this lifestyle, since I'm not working right now, I shouldn't be asking him for anything, not even emotional support or affection. That's crazy. I understand that our lives are very stressful right now and our babies add to that, but I am at loss and hurt because he is unhappy and blaming me for the life we chose. Where do I even go from here? Yeah, that's on some stuff where I'm like, sir, you out here getting mad for the wrong reasons. To me, that just don't even make any sense to be mad at your significant other because she's asking you, even if it's something as little as affection. Like, all right, so let's just lay out the scenario. My thing is this: if you're obviously doing something with your life, and that's like, okay, going to school, you worked for 9 years. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be upset. I guess if I see you not doing nothing, then I probably would question. I'm like, hey, you should do something. You're going through school. So I'm like, okay, that's something right there. You ain't asked me for no money. I imagine that the girl writing the post too, she got her own money, so she ain't worried about. But even if she is all like, oh, I'm kind of low on funds, can you spot me? I'm like, okay, that's what a marriage is. You help out each other. But it's like on some stuff where it's like, if he don't want to do that, I'm like, fam, then it's like, okay, then why even get married? That it's on some stuff like that where I'm all like, I don't know. To me, I feel like that's stuff like that is just unheard of. You don't get mad over no stuff like that. And that sounds like something that's been going on for a while. He's always been unhappy in the marriage, and sorry to break that news to you and things, but I'm like, you don't get unhappy in a marriage just because they lose their job. And it's like on some stuff that's the part that confuses me the most. I'm like, so something happens to you that you have no control over and it's your fault. Yeah, that's something where I'm like, yeah, I can tell he's that type of person where it's like he don't really take responsibilities for himself. He's like, nah, bruh. He's like, if I'm gonna get mad at people, it's like, where if there's something that happens, I'm getting mad at everybody else. I ain't gonna get mad at myself. But yeah, I just find that silly. It's like, it's something that you ain't got no control over and things. And it's like, yeah, it's definitely something where I'm like, I sit down and talk with them. I'm like, okay, you need to get your act together. Cause I'm like, if you want a divorce, and I'm like, fine, so be it. Then we'll get a divorce and I'll just have to figure it out on my own. But to me, it's like, that just don't even make no sense where it's like, you're telling me you're unhappy over stuff that's going on in my life. I'm saying, like, you don't even have to get involved. It's like, I'm saying, just give me a pat on the back or a hug or something. That's it. But yeah, that's something where I'm like, because I know people probably ask, like, well, what would I do in her situation? I'm like, I can't even compare myself to her situation. Because yeah, she said they birthed 3 kids. They birthed 14, 10-year-old and a 9-month-old. And I'm like, so I can't even put myself fully in her situation. Because I'm like, I feel like, yeah, it ain't even my business to. But let's just say, yeah, roles are reversed. And I'm the one that, that just lost the job. And then she's all like, I gave you everything, this and that, blah, blah. I ain't never asked her for nothing besides just some sort of affection and things. I'm like, okay, so I asked you for a hug. I asked you just to, like, kind of just comfort me and just let me know things is going to be okay. And then I'm asking for too much. I'm like, then that's one of those things where I'm all like, I guess I will be petty and be all like, all right, fine, I won't ask you for nothing no more. I'm like, I will not fix my mouth to ask you not for one thing. And I'm like, she was like, hey, I'm getting ready to go to the store. I'm like, all right, cool. She was like, you don't want no like energy drinks or no like beef jerky or no? I'm like, I don't want nothing. I'm like, I said I ain't gonna ask you. You say I'm asking you for too much, so I'm not gonna ask you for nothing. She was like, why are you being petty? I'm like, you literally told me this, so I'm honoring you what you want from this marriage. I'm like, if that's what's gonna make you happy, me not asking you for stuff, then fine, so be it. I'm like, I ain't gonna ask you for nothing else no more. Yeah, that's on some stuff where I'm like, I most likely might lead us to getting a divorce, but I'm like, okay, well, how do you think a person is gonna react? At least I guess somebody where it's all like they gonna do something about it. How do you think a person's gonna react to that type of stuff? So it's like, and the funny thing is like, let it be where she was the one that said that, oh, he would have snapped and went crazy. But I guess for her, it's like she's supposed to figure out how to fix the marriage. I'm like, yeah, that's not in her place to figure out how to fix the marriage. I feel like that's, if I'm like, okay, my thing is this. If you're unhappy, then you gotta figure out how can you regain your happiness back. And I'm like, and if you feel that you need to move on from the marriage, then it's like, okay, fine, then so be it. But it's like, if you don't, and you're all like, okay, well, it's like, no, I want to continue being married to her, then it's like, okay, then you're the one that needs to figure out how to be happy. But it's like, that shouldn't be on her. It's like, she done had 3 kids, she done lost her job, she's going through school, and now you done came to her with some stuff talking about you're unhappy. I'm like, Dad, you know what? Yeah, let's like, it shouldn't be your place to fix the marriage. It's like, if he's unhappy, then he should try to figure out how to regain that happiness. But you have to remember that you birthed his 3 kids, you lost a job, and you're going through school. The last thing that you need on your mind right now is him being happy or not. Stand up for yourself and let him know that it's not your fault that you guys have kids. That was a mutual agreement, and if he never wanted kids, then he should be the one to explain that to the kids. And then with you losing the job, you need to explain it to him that you didn't have any control over that. Nobody has control over themselves losing a job, especially if it's over the fact that you had his, and I'm putting it in all caps, his child. What else can I possibly say? I'm like, yeah, I feel like that. I feel like there's more, and it's like, he should be helpful, but if he doesn't want to be, then divorce might be the only option. Trust me, based on what you wrote, I know you will find a way to reach your success story, I guess. So now I ain't gonna put story, but to reach your success. What did I just open up? I opened up like some weird thing on the side. I'm like, I'll press like them F buttons at the top of the keyboard, and I'm like, there's at times things pop up and stuff change. I'm like, bro, what is that? So yeah, I'm gonna leave that in things, but yeah, I'm like, man, that guy is crazy. I'm like getting on me for some stuff I ain't had no control over. I'm like, yeah, that's one of those things where if I was in her shoes and I'm just sitting down, just chilling and stuff, taking care of the kids, playing the game, watching TV, making me something to eat. She talking about I'm unhappy because I feel like I'm doing too much and you lost your job and we got these kids. I'm like, okay. So what is a marriage then? It's all like, and instead of coming to me talking about you're unhappy, how about we sit down and work these things out? You didn't even bother to try to ask me that. You ain't bother to try to sit down and ask me, hey, let's work these things out. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm all like, okay, if you don't care about me no more, and I know people will probably be all like, oh, you one of those types. It's all like, you gonna say some stuff like that. Yes, I am gonna say some stuff like that, because that's how I'm gonna look at it, where it's all like, okay, well, if I'm doing something to hurt you or you don't care about me, don't love me no more, then my thing is this. I'll step aside, and it seems like, because I'm like, if that's what's gonna make you happy, then fine. I'm like, I am going to honor that wish, and I'm gonna step aside, because obviously I'm not making you happy enough and things. So yeah, that's one of those things where I'm all like, oh yeah, you best believe it. I'm all like, on some stuff like that, oh, I'm definitely gonna make the significant other feel bad, because it's like, what am I supposed to do with that information that you're unhappy? And it's like, well, how do you think I feel like that? Yeah, that's things like that where I'm all like, man, it's like you just adding to the stress at that point. So anyways, but yeah, overall, it's been another edition of Relationship Advice. Stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you guys for watching and or listening. Like and subscribe viewing this on YouTube. Follow, subscribe viewing this on the podcast streaming service. And peace.